What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including the latest speaking out updates, including Terri Runnels renewing accusations against Brock Lesnar, Charlotte Flair headed to television, the WWE's latest television deal, Liv Morgan Unhappy in the WWE, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into the news. Now our first story looks at Terri Runnels renewing her accusation against Brock Lesnar. Now the speaking out movement has given women and men the opportunity to call out people in the wrestling industry who engaged in misconduct either recently or further back. One person who is adding her voice to the conversation is Terri Runnels, who recently appeared on the Keon Sports podcast, and during the show, Terri brought up alleged misconduct from Brock Lesnar that Runnels claims happened in 2002.
I don't have a lot of respect for Brock. I don't think Brock respects wrestling fans. Brock did something that was in today's day and time. He showed his penis to me and, called my name as I was walking past where he was in a dressing room and opened his towel so I could see his manly bits. Much rather him not been so disrespectful of a female that's been in the business as long as I've been. He knew he was going to have a lot of power, that they were going to give him the strap. But at that point, I've been in this business for a long time. I have respect, and what he did was very, very wrong from a respect standpoint, from a harassment standpoint, whatever you want to look at it, it was wrong.
It bears mentioning that this isn't the first time Runnels accused Lesnar of inappropriate behavior. During a 2004 interview with Pro Wrestling Torch's Wade Keller, she was asked about Lesnar and had this to say. Much of what Runnels recently said is in the podcast interview, so what follows is an excerpt. Brock opened up the towel and exposed himself. And boy, that was a little red. I have never seen something so red. I didn't know skin could be pink like a mouse. I just didn't understand that could happen. But it was this pink thing. I remember thinking, number one, well, why would you want to show that? Number two, I remember thinking how disrespectful it was. I carry myself as a lady and have for many years. I've earned my respect in this business. You young dumb punk to assume that I wanted to see you. That's the kind of stuff that if it happened in IBM, there's a massive lawsuit. Dustin knew about it because he was there to witness it. But I would never, and especially in this business, I've seen too much at CNN and too much in wrestling. You don't go and raise a ruckus. It's pretty clear that nothing will probably happen to Brock Lesnar as he's WWE's golden boy, and it's pretty obvious that both WWE and Brock Lesnar will never address this situation. However, more accusations are being levied against Dave Lagana. A former WWE writer and NWA president Dave Lagana has come under fire from more people in the speaking out movement. Now allegations are being made that Lagana's 2008 release from the WWE was due to misconduct. David Bixby tweeted, while Rendazzo's tweet reporting on Dave Lagana being fired from WWE in 2008 for harassment is strong enough on its own, with multiple named sources, it was also corroborated by Paul London and Brian Kendrick in their 2010 shoot interview DVD for High Spots. In addition, author Matthew Randazzo recently tweeted, Dave Lagana update. I believe Liz Savage and thank her for speaking out. Secondly, multiple original sources and now new WWE sources contacted me to confirm misconduct accusations in WWE. New, been told a senior AEW executive also had a run-in with Lagana about inappropriate behavior. I will not share senior AEW executive Lagana's story because it involves vulnerable third party. Reminder 1, I have no personal opinion, just reporting from 10 plus sources. Reminder 2, I originally wrote a book to call out systematic culture 13 years ago. One of the biggest questions now is whether these accusations will reach up into the level of management that may have turned a blind eye to these issues. Now we've mentioned the dozens of anecdotal stories about misconduct and exploitation in wrestling that was overlooked by promoters. But could we finally see some progress in removing this unacceptable behavior? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE scores a new television deal in Italy. It's good news for WWE's international business as the company has announced a television deal in Italy. WWE and Discovery today announced a new multi-year agreement in Italy beginning Wednesday, July 1st, that will make WWE's weekly flagship programming available exclusively live and on demand with original US commentary on Dplay Plus, the OTT premium pay service of Discovery, along with versions featuring Italian commentary on DMAX. Every international deal means more money in the WWE's coffers, which hopefully will offset the losses from live event revenue. Next up, bad news for Shayna Baszler, and more rumors flying around that Shayna Baszler's push on Raw has come and gone. WrestleTalk's Andy Datson is reporting the latest rumors making their way through the wrestling world are that Vince has completely soured on the idea of pushing Shayna Baszler as a legitimate star, which is why she has barely appeared on television in recent weeks. That's not the only bad news for Raw's up-and-coming stars. Datson also commented on a report from Wrestling Observer Radio that they are focusing on legends rather than new stars. The report is that the steadily dropping Raw ratings have left Vince and Bruce with no other option than to book Raw on a weekly basis rather than thinking ahead and trying to build stars. While this week's Raw featured a number of returning legends such as The Big Show, Edge and Ric Flair, it's worth mentioning that stars like Austin Theory, Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, The Street Profits and Viking Raiders as well as many others were still featured prominently on the show. But what do you guys think? Is this the best way to go forward with Raw? Will older talent overshadow new talent? Next up, is Charlotte Flair headed to a television series? Or could Charlotte Flair be headed to a television series besides professional wrestling, of course, as Charlotte's proud papa Nature Boy Ric Flair believes she could be taking time off from the ring to appear in a television series. Speaking on the Wrestling Int Daily podcast, Flair revealed, "I'm actually hoping that when she finishes her commitments up at SummerSlam or whenever it is, I have no idea when, I know she has a TV series looking at her and she's got fitness people wanting to do work with her. I hope that she takes as long as she wants off so that all these people can fill her shoes and do that every night and have the opportunity, and God bless that thought." This is interesting news, particularly since the WWE was said to have plans for a huge push for the Queen in 2020. As noted in our earlier news video, Flair is taking time off and one story has it she may not return until the 2021 Royal Rumble. With Becky Lynch out and now Charlotte Flair, the women's division has drastically changed with two of its biggest stars being out of competition for the rest of the year. Next up, Booker T talks about whether The Undertaker is really done with wrestling. Now on his Hall of Fame podcast, Booker T talked about the final episode of The Last Ride, where The Undertaker more or less announced his retirement. However, he shared his thoughts on whether he's actually retired from the ring. He mentioned, "I'm sure Mark, The Undertaker, has gotten to the point where he's done everything in wrestling. He's seen it all, he's done it all, he's been all over the world many times over, but to watch that little girl grow up and to be able to walk her down the aisle one day, that's the ultimate championship for him. I know it is for me, but to see him walk away from the game, I salute him. I definitely give him the salute and say, hey man, you did it. Nobody else did it better as far as going out there and weathering the storm, but more importantly, the guy was a leader." He continued to say, "If I was a betting man, I would take the odds of seeing The Undertaker come back for one more time for a WrestleMania moment or a Saudi Arabia payday. Anything's possible, but to say this is truly the last ride for a man like The Undertaker, I don't see it because the dead man belongs to the people. That's the way I see it. It's hard for me to be that selfish, but I am. The dead man belongs to the people, and the people are going to demand to see The Undertaker. We don't care if it's once a year. We don't care if it's boneyard cinema-style matches. But for The Undertaker to vanish into thin air and go away forever, that would be sacrilegious." I don't know, I'm not really a betting man myself, but if I did bet against The Undertaker not appearing in the wrestling ring once again for one final moment, I'd be a pretty poor man. And finally, is Liv Morgan unhappy with WWE? Last but not least, is former Riot Squad member Liv Morgan unhappy with the WWE? Consider this tweet from her, saying, "Thank you for posting photos of what you cut out of my match, I guess. Appreciate it, WWE." Apparently the WWE edited her match against Natalya and Morgan was unhappy. Concerning her need to improve in the ring, she may want to reconsider complaining about her television appearances. As we've noted before in past videos, WWE has really dropped the ball with Liv Morgan. Hopefully with both Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch out of the picture, they may concentrate on stars like Liv Morgan. But there you have it guys, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. What do you guys think of these stories and rumors? Be sure to leave your comments down below, subscribe if you haven't already, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.